Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking about the state of the generative AI market and the value that partners can provide in enabling the successful execution of GenAI initiatives. I'm Mike Leone. I'm a practice director at Enterprise Strategy Group. I lead a team of expert analysts that cover the data analytics and AI markets. Super excited today. We're joined by Alan Clingerman from Dell. Alan, want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike. Super excited to be here. Alan Clingerman, I'm Chief Technical Strategist for PowerEdge and Artificial Intelligence, supporting our North American channel community. And from a day-to-day perspective, really driving our global strategy for AI and compute. Also doing a lot of partner training and enablement. And ultimately, most importantly, working with customer engagement very closely with our customers to ensure we have mutual customer success.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Alan. We also have Jeff Fonke from Worldwide Technology.
Good morning, and thank you. Hey, thanks for having me, and great to be here with both you and Mike and Alan as well. So my name's, as you said, Jeff Fonke. I have responsibility at WWT as a practice director over high-performance architecture. So my team has responsibility for many of the similar things that Alan's team does as it relates to driving AI initiatives within WWT's global sales organization. Really focusing on the four pillars of HPA, and we call that the high performance compute, storage, networking, and then the workflow and ML ops that kind of play into all that. So bringing that to light within our organization, been around here 25 years, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining. Let's get started. Skills gaps are rampant across the whole business. So great that there's heavy prioritization. Great, investments are high, and they have to be. Right? A majority of organizations are spending over $1 million. We have the data point that shows it. I think nearly 1 in 5 are investing more than $5 million here. And it's across a bunch of different areas, but it's still, it comes back to those skills gaps, right? It's a fast moving market. It's hard to keep up with, even if you have expertise in-house. And look, those skills gaps, it's around issues related to integrating GenAI with existing systems. There's issues around managing data quality. There's, of course, all the surrounding trust challenges, right? Security, privacy, governance, compliance. And really the result is what? It's delays, it's bottlenecks, it's increased costs. And then you put it all together, and all of a sudden it's this partner opportunity for a lot of vendors and solution providers that can come in and help optimize those investments and scale the infrastructure, integrate the key services. 84% of organizations are relying on partners now to assist with these new generative AI initiatives. And that assistance, it's across the board, right? It's not just on the technology side. It's on the business side. It's strategizing about what's my business problem? What's the right use case to go attack this? Do we have the right data to even support it? And obviously, there's the hardware and the software and the governance frameworks. There's so many dimensions to this. So, Jeff, I want to come back to you this time. And then, Alan, I'd like you to jump in. What are you hearing from customers when it comes to those skills gaps? Is there one area that's a greater challenge than others?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's top of mind. I'll share a brief story with you. Just to kind of dig into that, we've got resources on the team really that kind of, 20 to 25 year veterans with PhDs in model and data science type of personas are not everywhere, right? And so when you bring, that to the table, as we have in the past, doing workshops with customers, those are the types of resources that are so valuable to be able to bring, a generative AI approach within an organization to build a center of excellence. Folks that know models, folks that know infrastructure, folks that know how to size and then tie that together. I think those are really, software development is one thing, but then you look at, as we talk about here at AI Studio, and the ability to drive a lot of that into a solid factory. And I'm sure Alan will talk about Dell's AI Factory in a bit, but, they aren't wanting to just go out and buy a bunch of infrastructure without knowing how we're going to, operationalize that and be very well prepared with the data and the actual components of what that whole pipeline looks like. So the skills that are needed is they're not readily available. So I think what we do from a strategic resourcing perspective can help customers build that center of excellence, bring a data science persona to the IT persona, and then the line of business, tie that all together and really drive home a solution end to end where we're building solutions that encompass the entire ecosystem for an AI pipeline.
Yeah, we can't do it without partners, Jeff. I mean, at the end of the day, right? That's why you and I are so aligned with our teams and making sure we're helping really get good customer success here. And in fact, when we start to dissect many of our deals, this might or might not be surprising to you, given your commentary there, Mike. Like we see an average of 5 partner types in a single AI transaction, because it really takes a village. I kind of jokingly say it's the biggest team sport there's ever been in IT, but it's the truth. Because think about everything that Jeff just mentioned and all those subject matter experts that have to come together to make this a reality and achieve a business outcome powered by AI, right? The promise is incredible. Like where we're heading, I've been chasing AI for 35 plus years, just like Jeff. I'm going to go back to that. Like it takes a village. Let's bring the partnership together. Dell needs everybody to help us make this real. We think about it in 4 key areas. One, and I hate that we keep harping on this, but we all know how important it is for a business to achieve any outcome powered by AI. It's all about the data, right? I have to bring organizational data and business applications and processes to bear, or it's a great productivity enhancement, like people have seen with just early, implementations of Copilot 365 and other things like that. It's a great place to start. But as they start to think about what it's going to mean for their organization overall, they have to think about, what's my data landscape look like? How am I going to unlock the value of all that data I've been storing forever? And according to Gartner, you've probably seen some of the stats, right, that 83% of data still resides on-prem. And we see that, right? As the world's largest storage provider, it's a great opportunity for us to kind of say, hey, what do we do to help you? We're helping you store all this data today. What do we do to uncouple that data? Because the data sets we see that move to the public cloud tend to be more pocketed in very specific applications where they take it, refactor it, and move it to the public cloud. And it doesn't have all the data gravity or governance or regulatory requirements that might be for the data that resides on-prem. That's why 83% lives there. I always argue that if they haven't moved it in the last decade to the public cloud, they probably are never going to do it in mass because of the reasons I just highlighted. So data readiness is number one, and we need a lot of help and expertise there, especially with some of the things we're doing with the Dell Data Lakehouse. Then we think about the use case identification and helping from a business consulting perspective understand what are the right business fits, right? Think about it as, does it meet the right business value criteria? Can I do something more, better, faster, cheaper, powered by AI? If I can't, why am I pursuing it? By the way, I see customers step into that sometimes. And then feasibility, like, hey, it's going to do something for the business, but do I have the right data? Do I have a good model selection to do? And then what are the people, process, and platform that's going to be impacted by that? And how do I bring all that together? And then ultimately, it is about the software platform and ISV catalog, because there is, hey, I'm going to build some of this, but some of this I'm going to consume. And there's a lot of incredible AI ISVs that are coming up that have great use cases out of the box, right? Ready for customers to pull out and get immediate value. And then the last one I'll kind of double click on is people and process. Back to, hey, it's one thing having the subject matter experts, but we have to remember, when we build something in AI, what are we impacting downstream? The business's existing process. If I change that process through automation with AI, how do I bring that to reality with the people that have that task from a day-to-day perspective? There's a lot of things, right? This is that holistic view of true business consulting surrounding artificial intelligence.
Our research shows when we kind of really hold folks' feet to the fire, the top attribute that organizations are prioritizing when they're selecting a partner to support GenAI, it's technical capabilities, right? I need the strong technical expertise to be able to combine and integrate advanced AI solutions and frameworks and high-powered and high-performant hardware and software that's tightly integrated to maximize resource utilization, right? And really, it's offering guidance on the latest technology innovations and kind of navigating some of the complexities that goes on there. So we recognize, I think, all of us here, right? Technical proficiency can extend to areas around future growth, right? As organizations want to be able to scale the use of AI and ensure consistency as you're scaling AI more horizontally across the business. So, Alan, I want to start with you, then Jeff, jump in. When it comes to technical proficiency, What are you hearing from customers? Is it about delivering right-sized hardware? Is it help with the software stack? What do you guys think?
I would say it's all of those and everything we described. And I'll maybe make this very succinct here. And it was something that we tried to tackle. We took a lot of customer feedback and understood that they were all at various stages of their AI journey. At the end of the day, we have to solve a business problem, right? To drive revenue, profit, provide some increased productivity, or drive down operational expense to get at inference as quickly as we possibly can. And we have to stack rank and bring those to the top. So proficiency is one of those, but we think about it in a concept of how did we want to try to solve those problems once we bubbled them up? And that was the inception of the Dell AI Factory, because we saw that customers, given everything we've talked about, it's about challenges, right, or headwinds in the market around complexity, risk, and expense around artificial intelligence. And we were trying to make sure that we drove it that way. And we really have just 5 chevrons that we break down. The first one, and actually the most important, is on the right-hand side coming out of the factory, are all the use cases, right? Hey, lots of incredible use cases to help achieve things for the business. On the left-hand side, coming into the factory, I have to fuel the factory with something. What is that fueled with? It's my data. If I'm going to achieve a business outcome, I got to have the data. And that's where we're helping, in a modern approach with the Dell Data Lakehouse to help the customer in that step of the journey. And then in the middle, there's kind of 3 areas or 3 chevrons. Infrastructure, big surprise, high performance architecture built around that Dell validated design and the power sizer approach that I talked about earlier. So that's one, right? Pouring in that 340,000 engineering hours we put in. And then in the middle, we think about open ecosystems, and that is really the model selection, right? So obviously, a lot of them could be from our partner, right? NVIDIA is doing a lot in the marketplace. They're incredible. They got a huge lead from any of the silicon providers today. But there's choice and optionality, and the open source community, especially with what we're doing with Hugging Face and Meta and others, is very key. And then finally, it's around services. And right, this goes back to that partner ecosystem of what type of services do we work at, with our customers and partners on to determine where they have gaps and where we can help them fill those gaps to achieve those use cases faster.
Yeah, I see it very similarly, and I love that the chevrons you guys have kind of laid out. It's a really nice way to portray it with those use cases on the right. But we've got very similar stuff going on when it comes to and what we call AI Studio, Factory, Foundry. Right, Foundry is our software capabilities, but and then of course data readiness is a piece of that puzzle. But I like to summarize it in 4 simple steps, right, for where we go with our clients. It's about the use case, demo, a pilot, and then into production for inference, right? So when you look at those 4 things, the thing that we really like to highlight is we help expedite customer experiences using our AI Proving Ground, using experts on, Alan's team from, like the entire Dell portfolio. He mentioned the analytics engine. We've got the DDA 660, which is an appliance that he's talking about, running in our Proving Ground. We've got the 9680s, we got the 740s and 760s. We got all of the PowerEdge platforms running to be able to showcase the power of a GPU, CPU, and then integrate that into the next generation data analytics platform, back-ended by the latest storage providers. The things from a PowerScale perspective and the ECS platform. So when you look at the AI Factory by NVIDIA or others, right, whether you're looking at AI Enterprise from NVIDIA or you're looking at something like Opea, which is something out there that, like helping customers tie that all together to really prioritize that use case with a demo, running a pilot to figure out, hey, have you guys ever done this? Which we have, right? We've been doing this internally for over a decade, and then obviously building out our own use cases for the last 2 or 3 years when it comes to generative AI. Maybe it's an agentic approach. Last year we talked about retrieval augmented generation a ton. And that's a great way to get data to a model that is customized for your business need, right? But we've taken it a step further. We're doing research in our lab around, how do we do API endpoint enabled agents, tie that to the latest LLM, and then really build that into a product that you can actually use these agents to go out and get the data where it's needed in the certain API platform that you need to, and then driving that into a solution that ties into the factory that Alan has defined. Showing a customer how that works end to end is really, how I think we can help differentiate on our side, helping Dell drive AI Factory and their messaging. So.
I love that. I want to jump a little bit. You started hinting at this a little. I want to jump on kind of use cases and customer examples, if that's all right. We know organizations are looking at a bunch of different applications of generative AI. There's data insights, there's chatbots for productivity. Of course, there's content creation, there's business processes. We're seeing a significant rise in interest for agents, like you just mentioned, right? Agentic AI. And obviously, there's a major prioritization from the vendor ecosystem, whether it's delivering an embedded capability, whether it's powering organizations to incorporate their own data to build their own agents, right? There's just such a big diversification of use cases. Can we make it real now? And maybe you could both share a customer example?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I'll start. Like one thing, even within our own efforts at Dell, with everything you just described, like across the use case examples, it really is helping the customers, because we had to do this, right? We had over 2,000 use cases that we identified internally that we were pursuing. And we're like, we need to go through that fit process ourselves that I described earlier. And we boiled it down to about 20, right? So now we're thinking about every business process internally of how do we simplify, standardize, and automate a business process. And agentic AI, I think, is one of those that's going to be horizontal across the plane in every industry and vertical that really makes this real for customers. And, I love where Jeff was going. And this is why we made big investments with WWT and their AI Proving Ground, with the Dell AI Factory, and as you heard, the Lakehouse, so that they could help us demonstrate this to customers, because customers, frankly, don't have research and development teams anymore to do a lot of this work. Guess what? They're looking for partners to be that extension because they don't have the teams anymore. That's what WWT has been doing incredibly over the last decade plus, right, that I've been working with them. And I'll give you one example of that kind of agentic style that I think is really cool. So we worked together on a large healthcare provider in the Southeast US. And it was kind of the same thing. And it's tying some of this together, right, to evaluate. We think about calls coming in and gauging, their sentiment, and making sure that we're improving the patient experience. I think we've all experienced this. We all have healthcare every day, right? No matter we're healthy or not, we're always engaged in some way. And we want to have better patient experiences. And what do we do to automate a lot of those processes? So, one of the things they did, given what I just said, how about a chatbot for faster, more versatile client interactions overall to improve that experience, right? And provide higher customer NPS tied around those efforts while automating some of those processes. So pretty cool use case setting in healthcare and the vertical wrapped around kind of agentic AI.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. And I'd say, love that. That's a customer that once you prove kind of the ability to execute and build these things out, they come back for more. As we look at the industry verticals that we align to, of course, it's all, like I see a lot going on in the retail space, service provider, energy, oil and gas, that kind of thing. We're doing a ton across that with our industry specialists, and then tying that into an AI approach. One that is top of mind is an energy company. We work with them on doing some computer vision stuff, really cool stuff with drones, and looking at their transmission lines to do predictive analytics and testing, that type of thing. And that, when you get in for one specific use case, that oftentimes, if you build that credibility to that you can, help them execute at a high level to design and build a product that they need for a certain line of business, that turns into something. So, and at this point, we're now building an AI agent for their knock, that kind of thing. So it's and that's full circle. So like as we do that deployment, we're looking at, okay, where can we do the development while we're actually getting their house in order as it relates to the ability to deploy next generation high performance architecture. So we're working with them to build the right solution, developing the software in our proving ground, in our AI center of excellence inside the lab. And then as we deploy the HPA, we can go right to production with some of our services capabilities around software development and being able to drive that new chatbot to life. So these things are very cyclical, and you look at establishing credibility early and then driving that home, and we leverage that the proving ground to do a lot of that.
How can organizations get started here?
I'm going to break it down to three simple things, and I'm going to pull on abstracts of what I said throughout this entire journey. The first one, and if people didn't get this sense, and kind of it's where you started, hey, if you have not started yet, you're already 12 months behind plus from the competition. Get started. This is the transformative time right now that every industry is going to get disruptive. So you want to be the disruptor, not the disrupted, right? Get started. Start to experiment, figure out what it is. And then number two, back to our use cases, start to identify the use cases. Go through your own fit process, like that simple one that I said of like building out your own Gartner quadrant. If you don't have that expertise and you can't build that AI panel horizontally across your business units, that's where WWT and Dell can help you, right? From a business consulting perspective. And then finally, once you start to identify those use cases, now we're going to pour in the Dell AI Factory, right, as a tested, proven, validated solution. And then we're going to take and look at business processes and those use cases to simplify, standardize, and automate.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think that, like to double down and where to go next, reach out to your Dell person, reach out to WWT, www.wwt.com. Everything I talked about with the AI Proving Ground is available via digital asset. You can launch labs. You can get hands-on a lot of this stuff just by going to the website and taking a look at it. So, and I don't want to make this a commercial, but I think ideally we built this for customers to leverage to expedite that idea to outcome. It's like, and if you don't have the ideas to Alan, to your point, we can help you understand how to build that quadrant, the complexity to value matrix that you have to kind of think about when you're looking at generative AI, and get that low hanging fruit to start. We like Dell, we started with hundreds and now we're up to thousands of use cases. We've brought 5 or 6 of them to production within our own internal organization. We're using agentic. We're doing the data science. We're doing the deep learning. We're looking at a lot of the things in our lab. A lot of that content is available on our website, and we'd love for you to take a look at that.
Love that. Well, as we wrap today's chat, it's pretty clear, right? GenAI has the potential to really transform industries, transform organizations. And look, of course, there's going to be challenges along the way. There's the skills gaps and technical complexity we hit on a bunch. But I think the opportunities for innovation and better business outcomes, just as exciting, right? If not more transformative. So I think the important point to emphasize here, right? Partners are really what's going to get you where you need to go. It starts with determining the right business objective, identifying the use cases. It's understanding the best approaches to go and execute and balance things like performance and risk and cost, right? Of course, you need to understand that partners aren't just there to fill skills gaps. Can they? Absolutely. But it's really about being to amplify what's possible and help you get to meaningful results faster. So I want to thank Jeff, Alan. Thanks so much for joining. I'll speak for the listeners today. We really appreciate everything that you shared, your insights, your perspectives. It was all excellent. For the listeners, thanks for joining. I hope the discussions really sparked some new ideas for you to advance GenAI within your business. Have a great rest of your day.